How's it going, YouTube? My name is LBN and welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, this is one of my favorite topics, talking about rare champions that I would 6-star and take into the late game, because anytime that you select a champion to 6-star, it's not just an investment now, it's saying that you are going to use them in the future. And instead of having this long list of all the great champions, I have compiled it down to just the ones that not only will give you immediate value, but you could use in the long term. So let's go ahead and hop into it. We're going to get the first three out of the way because they are super obvious, and those are obviously Apothecary. He is just an excellent support champion. He is a great option to be your second 6-star in the game, and then any time after that, because he is just so great at supporting your campaign farmer, maybe your Kale, your Bellar if you're lucky enough to get that, or Felhound, whatever you get. But he is just excellent. He increases your speed and boosts turn meter, so he's a great early game arena champion. But he also has this single target massive heal. It's excellent. But then his A1 3 hits, which just gets him into your Fire Knight team, helps you get those early stages out of the way sooner. And then next up is Reliquary Tender. Like I said, I'm getting these first ones out of the way. She has a single target revive on a 5-turn cooldown. She also has a nice heal and a debuff removal, which is excellent in the early game. You know, your damage dealer will have no resistance. He gets stunned. You cleanse that off. You heal him up a bit. He just gets back to slamming. The A1 is not too exciting, but if you get that decreased attack on a boss, it is nice. And then last up for the obvious ones, it's got to be Cold Heart. You guys know this. 4-hit A1, excellent for Fire Knight, chipping that down, that shield away. And AoE, it's not that great, but you mainly play her for Heartseeker. It does a massive slam to bosses, also can steal the turn meter, or fully decrease the turn meter of the spider boss, or just some of the bosses in general. Great in Fire Knight, great in Spider, great in almost every dungeon. Just an excellent champion. Okay, those are the three obvious ones. Now let's hop into some of the more niche ones. So I'm actually going to break this down into category instead of going faction by faction, because I think that's a much better way to represent it. So first up, the first category is CC machines, so crowd control machines. These champions will get you through the dungeons. They will help your other champions stay alive by putting a stun set on them in most cases, or just having great crowd control in their kit. First up is Felhound. She is one of the starters, but you don't even have to start with her to use her. She does fine damage, and in the most part, when people build her, they build her for the damage. However, when you put a stun set on her, she has 2 AoE hitting abilities. One of them hits twice, so you will just get a lot of stuns out. She's an excellent choice for a stun set. She can really help your dungeon teams if you're struggling through those like level 17 through 20s. Even great on Spider, that 2-hit AoE to stun those spiders. Just give yourself more time to set up against the spider and get those debuffs rolling and to get your damage out. All right, next up is my absolute favorite rare champion, and it is none other than Bellar. Now, I do have a video completely going over the stun set Bellar build, but he is excellent. He is a nice beefy rare, lots of HP. He has debuffs on all of his abilities, but they're the small version. However, it's just nice if they land. It can really help you get through those early stages of dungeons. But this guy is an absolute unit. He was my first 6-star in the game, and he just propelled my account because he's a great campaign farmer, which we will get into. But all 3 of his abilities are AoE, which is so unique for rares. So you can just put him in a stun set, make him go fast, get those stuns off often, and he will just absolutely carry you through dungeons. All right, this next one is also one of my favorites. It's Soulbound Bowyer. Now, she doesn't get as much love as she did when she first came out, but she's still an excellent choice for a 6-star because you get that banner, and you can just make her go really fast, just like Bellar. The main draw to her is that her A1 is an AoE ability, so you can do the same thing, put her in a stun set, get that value rolling, make her go twice per every time the enemies go, and just get a lot of stuns out. However, she also has added benefits. So she basically has a very small hitting, same ability as Cold Heart. So it has an extra chance of critical hitting, but it also can fully deplete the target's turn meter. So if you aren't lucky enough to have 1 or even 2 Cold Hearts, then Soulbound Bowyer is an excellent choice because she kind of can fill that same role of stealing the Spider's turn meter or the Fire Knight's turn meter, but also make your wave damage, your Fire Knight wave stunning, your Spiderlings stunning damage. She can make that happen as well. She also has this, which can be geared to be a pretty hard hit, but it's almost never worth it. These are the two abilities that are the main draw to Soulbound Bowyer. All right, this next champion is an absolute unit. He really is. It's none other than Gnarlhorn. He only really has two abilities. His A1 is practically non-existent because you cannot make this hit hard, but all he does is he makes himself unkillable, and then he taunts everything. He provokes all the enemies to attack him, places an increased defense debuff or buff on himself, provoking them, making himself unkillable. Can really just lock down waves like this. Keeping him alive is pretty easy, especially when you pair him with a champion like Apothecary that can spot heal him. However, he just will absolutely control all the enemies, making them use their A1s on him while he just stays alive and shrugs it off. He's an absolute unit. So these next few champions this is a unique category. These are champions that you would only 6-star if they are going on your clan boss team, and only if it would be necessary to push it to like a 1 key or even a 2 key, because you don't need these champions 6-starred at all, except for maybe one of them. You can run them at 5-star, 4-star, even 3-star. In my clan boss team, I was running my Painkeepers as a 3-star for the longest of times, and it's totally fine. You don't need that banner, you don't need those boosted stats, that extra damage. Just keep these guys 5-star, 4-star, unless they're going to push you to that next threshold. So first up, we have Harris or Eris. She is known for being in the Myth Air comp. She's excellent at what she does, which is literally just removing the stun or removing the decreased speed debuff that the clan boss places, and then placing an increased speed buff herself on a 3-turn cooldown. That's literally it. She doesn't have any use outside of clan boss in the Myth Air comp, so only level her to level 6 if that tiny bit of damage would guarantee that you cross that 1 key or 2 key threshold. But other than that, she does not have an excellent kit at all. So I do not recommend 6-starring her unless she, like I said, is going on your clan boss team. Now next up, I've already kind of spoiled it, we have Painkeeper. Now Painkeeper is kind of a unit. You can use her outside of clan boss. People use her in some speedrun teams, but she does get kind of overshadowed by one of the other champions. But she does very low damage, so you would only really take her to 6-star if you need that bonus damage on her hits. She does have 2 hitting abilities, and these could proc things like War Master on the clan boss. But other than that, she can definitely get the job done at 3-star, 4-star, 5-star even. So definitely only level these guys, those 2 champions, if you need that extra damage. But she basically can reset the cooldowns of all of your allies' skills by 1 turn, so you can get those like the Maneater or the Demitha abilities off cooldown 1 turn faster. The rest of her kit is not too exciting. She does have a small heal, but it's not worth bringing her as a healing champion at all. And then finally, we do have one that actually, if you do plan on using this guy for your clan boss team, he would be great to max. It's Bulwark, and he's a unit. He is very tanky, but you literally only bring him in for his passive. When he's attacked, he has a 30% chance of extending the duration of all debuffs on the attacker by 1 turn. You put him in your clan boss team if you only have like a poisoner, maybe 1 champion that might place decreased attack, and all of a sudden those debuffs are getting extended. Your run is a bit more consistent, and that is literally the only reason why you bring him. It's not the most consistent thing in the world at 30% chance, but for a rare, he does get the job done, and he could possibly add damage to your traditional clan boss team. So Bulwark, if you're running him on your traditional non-unkillable clan boss team, he is excellent to 6-star. He also can place an HP burn debuff, so maybe having some accuracy or on an accuracy banner on him would be worth it. But like I said, only max him if you plan on putting him on your clan boss team. Other than that, you can forget about this guy. All right, next up, we actually have we're done with that unique category. These are champions that you can actually 6-star and not feel bad about. Now we're gonna go into our damage category. So champions that you can bring in, they also could fall under the CC category. In fact, one of them did. It's Bellar. But these champions are ones that are great for campaign farming. Now I'm hovering over Demon Spawn. You can probably guess which one it is. It's Felhound. He is currently the fastest campaign farmer in the game. Now he only does his A1, it's his only AoE attacking ability, but it just chunks. You can one-shot each wave, and it has the fastest animation, faster than like your Rays, your Queen Avas, your Bellars. He just is the fastest brutal campaign farmer currently. Now, he also has an added benefit of being useful elsewhere in the game. He has this where it places a small, very tiny continuous heal debuff or buff on your allies, but it also places a reflect damage buff on your allies. Now, this is excellent if you're struggling with Fire Knight. The only issue with this is it's very different than having a team that can burn down the shield with their attacks and then using like a Cold Heart to decrease the turn meter after that shield's gone. It's very different because you actually have to survive the hit. You have to let him hit you. If you have all 5 people alive with this reflect damage debuff on them, it'll automatically set that shield down from 10 down to 5. So he does have an added use outside of actually just being a campaign farmer. However, you can build this guy to nuke and he can be an excellent fast campaign farmer. He also can place a block damage debuff on an ally, but that's only if you're trying to like optimize things, maybe in like a faction war thing. That's kind of like a non-ability. Now, next up in this damage portion, I've got to come back to my boy Bellar. He's just insane. Like I said, all 3 of his attacks are AoE, so he can also be a campaign farmer. I got mine to do a 7-second farm like a couple times when I had my PC running super fast. Everything was running optimally. However, I think this is a safe 8-second farm. He is very good at doing that. You can just one-shot all the waves. However, if you're a newer player, this is actually how I had to do it at the start. If you don't have the gear to one-shot all of the waves, you can actually just make him go very fast, so about 210 speed around there, so that he can go twice per enemy's time going, and that way he just smacks every wave twice, kills them, and they don't get to go. And it's a little bit slower, but it's very consistent, because if you're 2-tapping every single wave, they aren't taking a turn slowing you down, and it's just still a very fast run. So just you guys gotta try out my boy Bellar. He is insane. Like I said, there is a video on him down below in the description. All right, now the final category is going to be poisoners. You guys know how important poisoning is in the game, especially in the very beginning. And there are some excellent choices in the rare slot. Now, you guys know this one. It's very obvious. It's Kale. A lot of us, most of us probably started off with this guy as our starting champion. So he's a great 6-star at the start to get as your campaign farmer rolling early. But he has that 4-hitting poison chance. Great for the dragon. Great for the clan boss early game, just to get your damage up in the millions at the start. He also can kind of transition into an arena nuker, because this does hit insanely hard for a rare. His A2, you can gear him to do big damage, but for the most part you'll see him with lifesteal gear on as a campaign farmer. By the time that you get him 6-starred, you're going to be amping up your account, getting more 6-stars, and you will replace him early because his A1 places the small poisons, and that can bog up or take up some space on the debuff bar from like any of the bosses. However, one champion that does not get replaced as early as Kale is Frozen Banshee. She is also a poisoning all-star. Her A1 will place up 2 poisons if they're under a poison sensitivity, and she is very unique in the fact that she does have a poison sensitivity. So you can place that poison sensitivity, I just said that 3 times in a row, and then place your poisons and just keep those rolling, those poisons. And then if you pair her with something like a Bulwark, you can have a very early game 2 rare clan boss comp that just dominates the clan boss, extending those poisons, extending the poison sensitivity. But the fact that it's on her A1 is what makes it amazing. She can also, you can gear her to be very beefy, and if you get the rest of your champions to like one-shot the waves of dragon and then die to the dragon's first breath, she can actually solo the dragon in lifesteal gear because her A1 does place those poisons. Her A2, a lot of times you turn this ability off because you don't want to kind of like, you don't want to speed up your champions, messing up the turn order, but it can fill the turn meter. It's just that it's more worth it just to do her A3 and her A1. But these 2 champions are great choices and can go even into the mid game as poisoning champions, but a lot of times they get outscaled once you pull like a better, like a Bad Alcazar, like, you know, one of those legendaries. Some of the epics do outscale them as well, but a lot of the epics are outscaled by these guys, so they are excellent choices to gear and to max to 6-star as rares. All right, and our final category, these are just a couple of rares that I'm gonna kind of like nod to. They're not ones that I personally would take to 6-star. However, I could see an argument for why you would. One of them is Renegade, and she is a nice Revenant, and she is kind of like the Painkeeper for dungeons. People run her in speed farming comps. Now, if you are using her to reset your cooldowns by 2 turns, if you're using her for this ability, she does not need to be in max gear. However, if you are someone who is very end game and looking to speed run those dungeons, maxing her is not the worst idea because she will hit a little bit harder, and that will kind of technically optimize things. But like I said, she is in the nods, like we are nodding that it's, you know, she is an end game rare, but she is very rarely ever even taken a 6-star unless you have some serious resources to burn. You just don't get much value from doing so. All right, the penultimate rare that we're going to talk about today is actually Paragon. Now, you guys have probably heard the term Paragon cheese. It literally comes down to the fact that he can keep up this unkillable debuff or unkillable buff on himself. The only thing is that you don't really need him to be 6-starred. You can literally do it at level 30 3-starred. So that's why I'm nodding him as one of the end game rares, but you really, there's no reason for you to even ascend him, to do anything to him. Just literally keep him at level 30, but he is very end game. Now, I used him personally in running some Nightmare campaign things, trying to get those 3-starred. I'd run him with like a lifesteal set, Tayrel or something to get the job done there until I got to that final 12-6 or 12-7 stage, because he does get killed by the Mortu Macabre, but he gets the job done. You can put him on your spider team, find a way to make all the spiderlings attack him. He'll be unkillable. You can literally just solo content with him because he's that broken. As long as you can find a way to get him to be attacked, he is just like the golden boy. He can cheese most content in the game. But that's Paragon. I would never max him at all. I would actually, it's probably best that you keep him level 30 because it would make him weaker and more appealing, more attractive to the enemies to attack. All right, this last guy that I'm gonna even talk about in this video, he's very new and he is one of my favorite rares. I've yet to max one myself because I accidentally used it when I was grinding campaign. However, it is Tree Shield Knot. Now, he is kind of like the new version of Reliquary Tinder. He has a 2-person revive, so if you're struggling in those early game dungeons, your DPS, your damage dealer keeps dying, your CC champion, maybe you're provoking too much, he keeps dying, this guy can bring them back up, brings them up with 25% turn meter, and places shield buffs on them for 20% of their max HP. So he's an excellent support champion. So if you don't have Reliquary Tinder, definitely invest in this guy as a rare. He is also excellent in the Doom Tower challenge room, so definitely this guy is sick. He also heals all allies by 15% of their max HP and places a 30% increased debuff or buff on all allies for 2 turns. So he is just a support unit. And guys, if you're looking for someone to keep your champions alive, maybe you're struggling to farm Minotaur 15 for the first time because you can't quite get past that damage threshold, bring this guy up to 50, bring this guy up to 60, put him in your team, and he will keep the rest of your group alive, and you will get through those dungeons and get through that content. But guys, that's my list of all the rares that I would max. Now, obviously, there are some other great rares in the game that are good champions. However, I would not even think about maxing them until you have over 100 6-star champions and can just have a lot of resources to spare and are really struggling with those Doom Tower rooms. But these are all of the champions that will be a worthwhile investment for you, because not only will you put those resources in and get immediate value, but these guys do all extend a little bit further into the game than some of the other rares that I did not mention. Some of the other big names like War Maiden. War Maiden, the reason why I did not mention her is just because she's excellent at the start of the game. Great to take to level 50 if you need that decreased defense on AoE, but there are just so many champions that do that in the game that she will be outscaled super fast and you guys will just regret 6-starring her. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys learned about a new rare champion, or maybe I talked you out of not maxing another one of your champions. But guys, this is the list of all the rares that I consider worth investing in, especially if you're just starting out. Don't put your resources into a champion that you will regret later down the line. listen to this list, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, if you like seeing my face or seeing my content, make sure and like the video, but subscribe on your way out. We just passed 200 subscribers, and let's try to get to 1,000 before the end of the year. I definitely think we can. You guys have been absolutely popping off hitting that button, so make sure that you guys hit it on your way out. Also, like the video, like I said, if you liked it, dislike it if you dislike it. If you think that there are some champions that I missed out or forgot to mention, or maybe you want to hear why I did not mention them, comment down below, let me know what you guys think. But guys, my name is LBN. I appreciate you clicking on my video and showing me so much support. And guys, I will see you guys in the next Raid Shadow Legends video. Until then, take care.